There is a hidden current flowing beneath every conversation you have ever had, every glance exchanged, and every relationship you hold. This current is invisible, yet it carries more power than words, more weight than actions, and more influence than you have ever imagined. It is the current of thought, the silent language of the mind, the bridge that links you to every soul you encounter. Many call it telepathy, but in truth, it is simply the natural power of your imagination and feeling, directing the unseen currents of life. Now, here is the astonishing truth. You are already using this power every single day. The way people treat you, the way they react to you, even the way they feel about you, is nothing but an echo of the silent messages you have been broadcasting from within. If you have ever wondered why certain people instantly admire and adore someone while others struggle for acknowledgement, the answer lies not in chance but in mastery of this hidden art. Every thought you think is alive. It is not a fleeting wisp that vanishes into nothingness, but a seed, a vibration, a living messenger that moves silently across the unseen currents of life. You may imagine that your thoughts are contained within the privacy of your mind, that no one can sense them, but the truth is far deeper. Every thought is a broadcast, a signal sent out upon an invisible bridge that connects every mind, every heart, every consciousness. You are never isolated, for you live within a vast web of connection, and every pulse of imagination you allow within yourself travels outward to be felt by others. Consider for a moment the way a room changes when someone enters. Without a word spoken, you feel something. It may be joy, heaviness, calm, or unease, but you feel it before lips are parted. What you are sensing is not chance. It is the invisible bridge of thought at work. Their inner state, their silent assumptions, their secret feelings are radiating outward, speaking louder than their tongue ever could. In the same way, you are always broadcasting, always sending out waves of thought that others cannot help but receive. If you wish to master telepathy, you must first awaken to this truth. Your inner world is not silent. The thoughts you nurse, the images you cherish, the emotions you cultivate, these are not hidden. They are living forms pressing outward until others feel them. If you dwell in resentment, others feel a resistance in your presence. If you rest in confidence, others sense a magnetic strength. If you imagine yourself adored, others begin to reflect that adoration back to you, for they cannot resist the current you are sending. The bridge of thought has no barriers. Time, distance, circumstance, none of these can stop it. You may be 1,000 miles away, and yet the image you hold of another travels instantly, shaping the way they respond. Think of someone you love. Imagine them smiling at you. Feel the warmth of their presence. And though they may be far removed, they will receive it. You may not see the process, but soon they will think of you. They will feel drawn toward you. They will respond in harmony with the vision you sent. This is not fantasy, it is law. To walk this bridge with mastery, you must take responsibility for every thought you allow. Do not say these are only private musings, they affect no one. Or you are always creating, always influencing, always sending forth the essence of your being. Guard the gate of your mind with vigilance. Refuse to harbor the images you would not wish to see made manifest. Instead, nourish only the visions that match the life you desire and the relationships you long to experience. When you meet another, do not first consider what words you will speak aloud, but ask yourself, what am I saying within? For it is the silent speech, the unspoken assumption that governs the outcome. If you imagine yourself beneath them, they will treat you as less. If you imagine yourself cherished, they will respond with warmth. If you hold them in love, they will feel it, and though they may not know why, they will soften and open in your presence. Every bond, every friendship, every romance, every partnership is maintained not by what is spoken on the surface, but by what is whispered across this invisible bridge of thought. You may speak kindness with your lips, but if your heart holds envy, it will be felt. You may appear distant with words, yet if within you are burning with affection, it too will be sensed. No mask can cover the language of thought, for it is the truest communication. When you realize this, the question is no longer, how can I make others adore me? The question becomes, what am I broadcasting right now? What vision of myself am I sending across the bridge? If you will but dwell in the certainty of being admired, if you will carry within you the joy of being valued, if you will see yourself already adored, then that vision becomes the current others must feel. They may not know the source, but they will sense it, and they will respond in harmony with what you've dared to imagine. There is a hidden force shaping every detail of your life, a power so simple that many overlook it. This force is assumption, what you assume to be true, what you accept in the silence of your imagination, what you live in mentally as though it were already a fact, becomes the reality you encounter. You do not need to wait for proof. The assumption itself is the seed that calls forth its own evidence. The world does not resist it, for the world is but a mirror, reflecting what you dare to assume. If you walk through life assuming rejection, then rejection will find you. If you move with the assumption of being unnoticed, then eyes will slide past you as though you were invisible. But if you clothe yourself in the assumption that you are loved, that you are admired, that you are irresistible in the eyes of others, then life will bend to reflect that inner garment. People will begin to treat you as you see yourself, for they cannot escape the influence of your assumption. Think for a moment of the countless times you have anticipated disappointment and how faithfully it came to pass. You assumed it would not work. You assumed they would not call. You assumed you were not enough. And the world echoed that assumption with uncanny precision. This was not fate, nor was it accident. It was your assumption clothed in form. But what if, instead of expecting loss, you assumed gain? What if, instead of bracing for rejection, you assumed affection? What if, instead of waiting for others to recognize your worth, you assumed you were already treasured? When you assume a thing, you step into the state of its reality. You become the one who already has what you desire. You begin to think, to feel, to act from the place of fulfillment. And this invisible stance cannot help but impress itself upon others. Assumption is the silent command that shapes how people see you, how they respond to you, and how they remember you. Imagine walking into a room. If within yourself you carry the assumption that no one notices you, you will shrink, your voice will falter, your presence will dim, and others will confirm your belief by ignoring you. Yet if you enter that same room clothed in the assumption that you are admired, your posture will change. Your tone will carry warmth, your eyes will shine with confidence, and others will feel compelled to respond. They will not know why they are drawn to you, why they feel a subtle admiration, but it will be because you dared to assume it. The assumption does not wait for physical evidence, it creates the evidence. To assume is to plant the seed. The soil of life does not ask whether the seed is good or bad, whether it is noble or unworthy. It only knows to bring forth what is planted. When you persist in assumption, the harvest is inevitable. You may not see the sprout at once, but beneath the surface, the seed is alive, pushing upward, drawing circumstances, conversations, and encounters into alignment with itself. Do not be deceived into thinking assumption is daydreaming. A daydream is fragile, wavering, easily broken by doubt. True assumption is conviction. It is the inner knowing that refuses to look left or right for confirmation. It does not ask, will this happen? It rests in the confidence that it already has. When you assume you are adored, you do not wait for others to prove it. You move as one who is already adored. When you assume you are respected, you do not plead for it. You embody respect itself, and the world bows to that embodiment. Assumption is the secret script you hand to others without speaking. They may think they are choosing their words, but in truth they are reading the lines you wrote for them in silence. Assume criticism, and they will criticize. Assume admiration, and their lips will praise. Assume indifference, and they will turn away. You are the unseen author, and they are the characters moved by your pen. Every relationship you have ever known has been shaped by assumption. Every love gained or lost, every friend drawn close or driven away, every success and every failure, all have sprung from the soil of assumption. Change the assumption, and the story changes. Persist in the new state, and the old must fade, for nothing can resist the silent authority of a mind that dares to assume. Words are weak compared to the force of feeling. You may say 1,000 things with your mouth, but it is the vibration of your feeling that others receive. Feeling is the silent language that cannot be hidden, the invisible current that travels from heart to heart without a single syllable spoken. You may dress your words in politeness, but if your feeling carries resentment, it will be sensed. You may speak nothing at all, yet if you are filled with love, the atmosphere will change the moment you enter a room. Every encounter in your life is governed not by the literal meaning of words, but by the unspoken energy behind them. When you feel small, people sense it and unconsciously mirror it back to you. When you feel radiant, people feel drawn to you without knowing why. It is not the words that hold the power, it is the feeling saturating those words, the unseen essence that travels on the invisible bridge of thought and plants itself in the subconscious of another. Feeling is the magnet of your reality. You attract not what you say, but what you feel. You may repeat affirmations endlessly, but if the feeling behind them is emptiness, nothing will move. Yet if you whisper a single word charged with deep conviction, the world must shift to reflect it. This is why feeling is the secret key to telepathy. It is the truest broadcast of the soul. Impossible to fake, impossible to conceal. If you wish to be adored, you must first feel adored, not as a hope, not as a wish, but as an inner certainty. Walk as though you are already cherished. Sit as though every eye delights in your presence. Speak as though your words are received with love. This feeling, once embodied, transmits itself silently to those around you. They begin to experience what you already feel, and without conscious reason, they treat you according to the vibration you carry. Think of the countless times you have felt uneasy and noticed how others became uneasy in your presence. Recall the moments you felt confident, how suddenly doors opened, how people smiled, how conversations flowed with ease. Nothing changed outwardly except the feeling within you, and yet that feeling commanded the behavior of others. This is the silent law at work. You do not need to beg for love. You do not need to struggle for recognition. You need only saturate yourself with the feeling of already being loved, already being admired, already being significant, and life will rise to meet your conviction. Feeling is the essence of imagination. To imagine without feeling is to paint in shadows. To imagine with feeling is to breathe life into form. When you dwell upon a vision of yourself adored but fail to feel it real, it remains lifeless. But the moment you allow yourself to feel the warmth of being admired, to taste the joy of being respected, to rest in the ease of being cherished, the vision takes root and begins to grow. The world cannot resist the insistence of a feeling fully embraced. This is why love is the highest and most irresistible force. For love is pure feeling. It requires no words, no logic, no explanation. When you feel love deeply and direct it toward another, they will sense it. They may resist at first, but eventually the vibration of love will soften their heart. When you feel love toward yourself, the entire universe conspires to prove you right. When you feel love saturating every thought, every image, every conversation within, you become a radiant center that others cannot help but adore. To master the silent language of feeling is to master telepathy. Others will hear your words, but they will respond to your feelings. Others may not remember what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. This is the true power. Guard your feelings. Cultivate them. Direct them with purpose. For in the end, it is not what you claim, not what you argue, not what you insist with words that matters. It is what you feel in the silence of your heart, for that alone shapes the response of the world. The secret of transformation is to live from the end, to dwell not in longing but in fulfillment, not in hope but in possession. When you desire to be adored, you do not wait for signs to appear, you do not measure the evidence around you, you step into the end where it is already so. To live in the end is to claim the reality of your desire before a single hand has touched it, before a single voice has spoken it. It is to close the gap between what is imagined and what is lived by assuming they are one and the same. Every bond you seek, every connection you crave already exists in the unseen realm of imagination. When you live in the end, you are not pretending. You are aligning with the deeper truth that creation is finished. You are not asking the world to bring you love. You are walking in the certainty that you are already loved. You are not waiting for others to recognize you. You are moving as one who is already recognized. To the world it may appear as faith, but to you it is simply the natural state of being. Think of how a person in love moves. Their steps are lighter, their eyes brighter, their presence magnetic. Why? Because they are living in the end of affection. They are not waiting to be adored. They already feel adored, and the world confirms it. The same principle applies when you assume the end of admiration, respect, and affection. Others cannot resist what you already embody. They are compelled to reflect the state you occupy. When you live in the end, doubt has no power over you. The mind may whisper, but I do not see it yet. I do not hear it yet. I do not have the proof. Still you remain unmoved because you know the unseen is more real than the seen, that the world of feeling and imagination is the root from which all visible life springs. You stand in the end, and the outer world must eventually conform. To live in the end of connection is to drop the question, when will they adore me? And replace it with the certainty they already do. It is to walk through life as one already celebrated, already admired, already deeply loved. This inner stance changes your tone, your posture, your gaze, your entire atmosphere. Without effort, without words, people feel it. They may not know why they are drawn to you, but they are. Because you live in the end of being irresistible. If you dwell in longing, you project lack. You radiate the message that you are still waiting. But when you dwell in fulfillment, you radiate abundance. You no longer seek proof from others, you become the proof. When you live in the end, you no longer need to beg for attention, because attention flows naturally to the one who already assumes they are adored. You no longer strive for validation, because validation surrounds the one who is certain of their worth. The end is not something far away. It is here, now, waiting to be embraced. Close your eyes, feel the reality of the connection you desire. Hear the voice that tells you how deeply you are loved. See the eyes that admire you. Sense the warmth of being cherished. Do not place it in the future. Place it in this moment. Breathe it, rest in it, live in it as though it were the most natural thing in the world. For the moment you do, the bridge between imagination and reality collapses, and what was once unseen begins to unfold before you. Others may call it confidence, charm, charisma, but you will know it is simply living in the end. You no longer strive to become, you are. You no longer question if it will happen, you know it has. And this knowing, this invisible certainty becomes the silent force that reshapes every encounter, every relationship, every glance, every word spoken to you. Live in the end, and the end will live through you. The most powerful words you will ever speak are not the ones that pass your lips, but the ones whispered in the silence of your mind. All day and all night you hold conversations with yourself, rehearsing scenes, imagining replies, replaying old wounds, and anticipating future encounters. These inner dialogues are not idle, nor are they harmless. They are magnetic currents shaping your world, drawing to you experiences and people who must echo the very tone of your inner speech. You may think no one hears, but everyone responds. When you imagine another ignoring you, when you hear their voice within your mind dismissing you or belittling you, you are planting the script of tomorrow's encounter. When you hear them laughing with you, praising you, loving you, you are preparing the scene that life must play out. Every inner word carries creative power, and every repeated dialogue becomes a command impressed upon the unseen. The world is not answering your spoken words, it is answering your inner ones. Think of how often you have rehearsed rejection, how often you have told yourself the story of being unwanted, unworthy, or overlooked. Have you not seen it come to pass again and again, as though life itself were conspiring to confirm your private speech? And yet, the opposite is equally true. Imagine being adored. Imagine hearing within yourself the voices of friends speaking well of you, of lovers cherishing you, of strangers admiring you, and you will see life bend to deliver the echoes of that conversation. For your inner speech is never solitary, it is always a broadcast. The mind is a stage, and you are both playwright and actor. If you allow the play to be filled with bitterness, envy, or fear, the characters who appear in your life will simply follow the lines you have written. But if you write a play of love, admiration, harmony, and respect, then the characters must step into those roles. They cannot resist the script you hand them. For your inner conversation is the hidden rehearsal of reality itself. When you speak within yourself, you are impressing the subconscious, not only your own, but also the subconscious of those with whom you converse. To imagine another speaking words of love toward you is not fantasy. It is a creative act. To hear within the silence the laughter of friends celebrating you is not daydreaming. It is the planting of a living seed. The unseen accepts it as fact, and the visible must eventually conform. You may think, but it is not real yet. I tell you, it becomes real the moment you accept it within. The outer is only the delayed reflection of the inner. Every relationship you have ever had is but the outpicturing of conversations you have held with yourself about that person. If you constantly remind yourself that they ignore you, they will. If you hear them within praising your worth, they will. Your inner dialogue is the invisible lawgiver of your world. Listen now to what you say to yourself. Is it complaint? Is it self-pity? Is it anger? Then you are rehearsing scenes you do not wish to live. Change the dialogue. Refuse to rehearse what you do not want. Begin instead to script the words you long to hear, to hold within your mind the tones of affection, the gestures of admiration, the voices of love. Do it not once, but continually, until the new conversation becomes more natural than the old. Then watch how effortlessly the world changes to match it. There is no greater proof of this power than the way you feel after an inner dialogue. When you rehearse conflict, your body tightens, your mood darkens, your heart grows heavy. When you rehearse love, you feel lighter, freer, more alive. This is the evidence that the conversation is real, for your entire being responds as though it were happening now. And if you respond, so too must the world, for there is no separation between the inner and the outer. Choose wisely the voices you entertain within. Imagine them lifting you up, not tearing you down. Hear within yourself the world adoring you, not resisting you. Carry in silence the tones of harmony, and soon every voice you meet will sing the same refrain. The greatest force in existence is love, and yet it is the most misunderstood. Many think of love as something fragile, something that comes and goes depending on the actions of others. But true love is not dependent. It is not conditional. It does not beg for a return. True love is a state of being, a vibration that flows naturally from within, and it is the most irresistible power you can ever wield. When you move through the world clothed in love, you do not need to manipulate, you do not need to persuade, you do not need to strive for attention. Love itself is magnetic. It draws all things into harmony without effort, without struggle, without resistance. The one who abides in love becomes the center of gravity, the quiet influence that bends the world around them. People feel it even if they cannot name it. They feel at ease in your presence. They feel uplifted. They feel inspired. And without knowing why, they are drawn closer. Love is the purest telepathy. Words may confuse. Appearances may deceive. But love cannot be hidden. The moment you feel love deeply, whether for yourself, for another, or for life itself, you are sending out a current that travels farther and penetrates deeper than any spoken message. It passes beyond the surface mind and touches the heart, awakening in others a response that matches your own. When you radiate love, Others begin to feel love toward you, for they cannot escape the silent language you have spoken. You do not need to wait for love to come to you. You are the source of it. The more you cultivate it within, the more it flows outward and the more it returns multiplied. To love is to affirm the unity of all life, to acknowledge that what you give to another, you are giving to yourself. In this giving, there is no loss, only increase. The more love you pour out, the more abundant it becomes, until it saturates your being and overflows into every corner of your world. Consider how the atmosphere of a room changes when one enters filled with resentment. The air grows heavy, the energy contracts, and others feel uneasy without knowing why. Now imagine the opposite. Someone enters with a heart overflowing with love. Instantly the air becomes lighter, warmer, brighter. Smiles come easier, words flow more gently, tension dissolves. This is the effortless influence of love. It requires no performance, no speeches, no demonstrations. It is felt before it is seen, received before it is explained. To master this influence, you must first direct love inward. If you seek admiration, you must first adore yourself. If you desire respect, you must first respect yourself. For the world only mirrors the relationship you hold within. The one who condemns themselves will find condemnation wherever they turn, but the one who blesses themselves will find blessings multiplied in every encounter. To love yourself is not vanity. It is alignment with the truth of your being. It is the recognition that you are worthy, that you are divine, that you are enough exactly as you are. Once love has filled your inner world, it naturally extends outward. You begin to see others differently. Where before you saw flaws, now you see beauty. Where before you saw competition, now you see unity. Where before you saw separation, now you see reflections of the same life that animates you. In this vision, people cannot help but respond with affection, for you have already embraced them in the silent language of love. This influence is not forced. It is effortless because it flows from the deepest truth. There is no need to plan what to say or how to act when you abide in love, for love itself shapes your words and guides your actions. It opens doors, softens hearts, dissolves conflicts, and creates bonds that no circumstance can break. The one who abides in love carries an aura of peace that others crave. They may not understand it, but they will not wish to leave it. Love is the highest telepathy because it transcends all barriers. It speaks across distance, across time, across differences of language and culture. It is felt in dreams, in sudden thoughts, in quiet moments when another's presence floods the mind. To radiate love towards someone is to touch them more deeply than any spoken word could reach. And when love is felt, adoration follows as naturally as night follows day. And so we arrive at the heart of the message. Telepathy is not mystery, nor is it beyond your reach. It is the natural language of imagination, the silent current of feeling, the bridge that connects every soul to every other. When you assume love, when you feel adored, when you live in the end of already being cherished, and when you shape your inner conversations with harmony and kindness, the world must respond in perfect reflection. Love is the effortless influence that draws adoration to you, for love is the highest vibration, the eternal law of attraction, the very substance from which all reality is born. If you have listened closely, you now hold the keys to imagine with feeling, to live in the end, to assume the state of being adored, to fill your inner world with conversations of affection, and to radiate love as your natural atmosphere. These are not theories to test, but truths to embody. Begin now, in this very moment, to claim the reality you long for. Walk as one already admired. Speak as one already cherished. Feel as one already loved. And the invisible bridge of thought will carry your message to every heart, compelling them to mirror the beauty you hold within. Thank you for staying until the very end of this message. Your presence here is no accident. It is proof that you are ready to step into a new dimension of life where love, connection, and telepathic influence flow effortlessly through you. Carry these truths with you, practice them daily, and watch as your world transforms. If this message has touched you, share it, speak it, live it, and allow others to awaken to the same power within themselves.